The UK is home to some fantastic theme parks and a great range of coasters, from family-friendly inverts to extreme thrill machines. As a coaster enthusiast, the most important element of any theme park for me is its coaster lineup, so I'm going to count down my top 10 UK parks based solely on their coaster collections. This means I'm not going to take into account park theming, operations, ride availability, flat rides, anything else at all. I'm only judging the parks by their coaster lineups. This is all my personal opinion, so please feel free to let me know your ranking down in the comments. I'd absolutely love to see it. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I post loads of videos like this and other theme park content around the UK and across the globe. I'm going to Germany in just a few weeks. There'll be loads of videos there, so make sure you subscribe for that because I'd greatly appreciate it. Now, starting off in 10th place, we have Alton Towers. I'm just kidding. It's Adventure Island in Southend-on-Sea. This seaside amusement park just beat out Pleasurewood Hills to take the bottom spot on this list, mainly because its headlining ride is better than Wipeout and it has one more coaster than Pleasurewood at 5, even if they aren't the highest quality. They have 2 Sierra Tivolis in Barnstormer and Green Screen, with the other 2 family coasters being a Zamperla speedy coaster called Kiddie Coaster, and a Pinfari mini mega coaster called Mighty Mini Mega. Its stand-up coaster is Rage, which is a Gerstlauer Eurofighter 320 Plus model, which looks to have a pretty fun and compact layout with a beyond vertical drop and 3 inversions. This model has been cloned around the world and is 320 metres long with an additional helix, hence the model name. Overall, it has enough to beat out the rest of the UK's parks to take 10th, but not enough high quality attractions to rank anywhere further up. At 9th, I've put Legoland Windsor. This park could have been lower if this video was made a year ago, as they only had 3 roller coasters. However, with the addition of Minifig Speedway, the dueling Sierra Force coasters, they're now a bit more competitive with 5. With its orange and blue sides, Minifigure Speedway is probably the park's headlining attraction, though that recognition could also go to the Dragon, the park's original coaster from 1998, which has an extended dark ride section at the start and can go deceptively fast with its 3 lift hills. The park completes its lineup with 2 fairly unnoteworthy kiddie coasters, Dragon's Apprentice, built by WGH Transportation, and Duplo Dino Coaster, which stands under 10 feet tall, built by Art Engineering. Though this may be the UK's most attended park, its family-focused nature and shallow coaster pool do bring it in lower on the list. Fantasy Island takes 8th with 5 almost 6 coasters. That almost 6th coaster is a spinning wild mouse set to open soon, though it will have a very standard layout. The other standard layout coasters are a Wacky Worm and Jellykins Coaster, which is a WGH Transportation kiddie coaster. A good step up from these is Rhombus Express, which is a powered coaster, but also built by WGH and not by Mack. It offers a nice tour around the corner of the park and a good interaction with Millennium. Speaking of, Millennium is one of the park's 2 big Vekomas. Built in 1999, it's impressive how smooth and enjoyable this ride is, with good positive G-forces through its 2 vertical loops and Sidewinder. The same can't be said for Odyssey though, the park's largest coaster, which looms over the market section of the park. At 167 feet, this is the tallest Vekoma suspended looping coaster anywhere in the world. It really is a monster, reaching 62 miles an hour, inverting riders 5 times, while also pummeling you with 4.8 Gs and a spine-rattling shake to top it all off. This ride really is something. I'm not sure if that's a good something or a bad something, but it's well worth the trip to the park to experience it. Overall, a park with 2 great high-thrill coasters, but lacking depth in its lineup to reach any higher up the list. My 7th position goes to Drayton Manor. The 4th park in the row with 5 coasters, this park has had a variable history, finding itself straddling the thrill and family markets before settling firmly into the family market over the past few years. The main indicators of this were the removal of G-Force, the Maurer X-Car coaster, and changing Shockwave from a stand-up to a sit-down coaster, now just called the Wave. They also have a Zamperla powered coaster, Jormungandr, a Gerstlauer Junior coaster, Troublesome Trucks Runaway coaster, and a Vekoma Family Boomerang Accelerator. Lastly, it's a brand new Intamin family lift and launch coaster which just opened last year, Gold Rush. On its own, Gold Rush lifts this park up several places for sure. I was very impressed when I experienced this on opening day. The presentation really is top notch, and the ride hardware itself is incredible. It isn't the most thrilling ride, but it's unique and something I've never really done before, with 2 different parks the train can take depending on whether it goes over the first lift hill straight away or if it rolls back down. It's dynamic and fun to watch, but also great to ride with a few surprising forces, including some light airtime. The Wave is also well presented and well appreciated as the only coaster in the park to offer inversions, 4 of them to be exact, and even in its sit-down trains it does offer high thrills. With a more balanced lineup than the parks before it, but still lacking the thrill I'm looking for, Drayton stays at 7th. Just missing out on the top 5, at 6th place is Chessington World of Adventures. With a surprisingly low coaster count of 4, this park has quality over quantity. Mandrill Mayhem is the park's newest addition from 2023, the B&M Wing Shuttle Coaster. Creative train design, offering great thrills with the launches and hang time filled inversion, which you take both forwards and backwards. And again unique, being the only wing shuttle coaster on the planet. Dragon's Fury is one of the better Mara spinners with an extended layout and 2 lift hills. Depending on the spin, this can go from moderate to high puke-inducing thrill. Then finishing off the great top 3 is Vampire, the Arrow suspended coaster from 1999. This coaster just celebrated its 35th anniversary with hopefully many more in the future. It's one of only 5 Arrow suspended coasters left in the world, and the only one outside of North America, again scoring points for being unique to the UK. I love the swinging and the station theming with its spooky soundtrack. The organ playing animatronic fascinated and freaked me out as a child. Rattlesnake kind of ruins the high quality streak, being a standard and painful Mara Wild Mouse coaster, but we can forgive Chessington for that one mistake. 2 new coasters are expected to be coming soon, with an unannounced kiddie coaster rumoured to replace Scorpion Express in 2026, and an Intamin multi-dimension coaster themed to Minecraft expected to open in 2027. If both of these are of a high quality, Chessington could jump up a spot or 2, as for now it's stuck at 6th. Stomping on Chessington's grasping fingers, we have Paultons Park at 5th place. To be honest, this ranking could be my bias creeping in, as this amazing family run park used to be my local park growing up, and I have many fond memories made there. They currently have 7 coasters, the most of any park so far, although it is a little bottom heavy. Dino Chase is a laughably short Sierra Tivoli, but at least you do get free laps. It is found in the Lost Kingdom area of the park, along with a Vekoma family boomerang called Velociraptor, and a light on thrill, but overall entertaining Vekoma suspended family coaster called Flight of the Pterosaur. This is a cloned model, but it's well presented with some dinosaur models and nice landscaping, plus it has lap bars for a more comfortable ride. My first ever coaster was the park's other old Sierra Tivoli, Caterpillar Coaster, formerly the Stinger. This is a standard figure 8 layout with some fun theming and surprising whip on the back row. Tornado Springs is the park's most recent new land, bringing with it 2 new coasters. Firstly, Farmyard Flyer is a Sierra Force model, nothing to write home about layout wise, but for a basic coaster, some really great theming. Secondly, Storm Chaser, the Max Spinner. This coaster is long, with excellent theming and a gradual building of forces from a calm first drop to a frightfully forceful final helix. Add in the spin of the cars and you have a delightfully disorientating but extremely well done coaster. Finally, their last coaster is Cobra, the Gerstlauer bobsled. This corner of the park is now quite lackluster compared to all the other revamped and rethemed sections, but Cobra is still a crazy fun time. The variety of the forces is fantastic. The laterals on the hairpin turns at the start really make you feel like you're going to get thrown out of the car. The helices are positive heavy, and then the final bunny hills give ridiculous airtime with a frightening head chopper. I always cackle from start to finish when riding this, and rank it just under Storm Chaser, only because of the lack of theming, though that could be changing very soon. Set to open in 2026, Paultons look to be revisiting this area and turning it into a new Vikings themed land. Cobra will most likely be included in the retheme, and I trust Paultons to do a great job with that. They've also teased another coaster in this area, most likely with the park's first inversion, which I think will be a fantastic addition. A few redundant coasters, but overall a very solid lineup with a few standouts. Paultons secures its spot at 5. We're really getting to the big hitters now. In 4th place is Flamingoland in Yorkshire. This amusement park zoo has 8 coasters, though again some are really not noteworthy. Twistosaurus is a Zamperla spinner. I got a good spin on here, but the layout and theming are very basic. Runaway Mine Train is a Zamperla family coaster, again just a few turns and hills with no theming at all. Zoom is another Zamperla coaster, this time an Air Force model, and though it is the park's only custom layout, I'm really not the target audience for this ride. Plus, you don't really zoom, this thing goes about 5 miles an hour. Flamingoland's other 5 coasters are a fair bit more noteworthy, though not all of them for the right reasons. Hero is the park's 4th and final Zamperla coaster, a Volare. It's shockingly bad, and I think the park really only keeps it around as people talk about it non-stop, and all press is good press, I guess. I'm not speaking on it further, otherwise this video will probably get taken down. Anyways, Velocity is a Vekoma booster bike. It's the UK's often forgotten 3rd hydraulic launch, and you know, a good launch it does have. However, the rest of the layout is uninspired and also a bit rough. The final 3 coasters are all pretty fun, worth a trip to the park just to experience. Kumali is a fantastically forceful and actually smooth Vekoma SLC, a much better ride than Odyssey, even if it is 50 feet shorter. It has 4 inversions and a decent layout, but more than that, it's just fun to ride it to see what a good version of this model can actually do. Mumbo Jumbo is a weird and wonderful SNS El Loco, the UK's steepest drop at 112 degrees, although it is trimmed. You have funky outer banks, a superbly slow stalled out dive loop, and a final downward inline twist. The restraints aren't brilliant, and if it was less trimmed it would be far better, but overall it is a laugh. Lastly, Sick, the Intamin 10 inversion coaster. I spoke about this in a recent video saying that I thought this investment was a poor choice for the park, which I do stand by, but it doesn't mean I don't enjoy the ride. The music in the station is energetic and I always appreciate a quick cable lift hill. Because of the lap bar, every element from here to the final inversions delivers better than Colossus. The first drop, the vertical loop, the cobra roll and the corkscrews. It is also noticeably smoother than Colossus in my opinion. However, when you then reach the quad hardline roll, this is the part I do prefer Colossus. It's just more comfortable having an over-shoulder restraint to grip onto, as with 6 lap bars, you end up dangling for too long and my hips don't appreciate that. The last roll into the station is great, but it shows that one is enough. It is presented well. I love looking at the final rolls from the viewpoint the park have set up, and overall I do prefer the lap bars, but they ain't perfect. A little up and down in its lineup, but due to its number and variety I can't rank it any lower, so Flamingoland takes 4th. Blackpool Pleasure Beach takes the bronze. It has a UK record-making 12 coasters, with some going all the way back to 1922. Big Dipper is one of the park's 4 wooden coasters and the oldest, celebrated 100 years in 2022. It's the only one I haven't been on and looks to be enjoyable, if not too forceful, but it gets extra points for being an antique. Nickelodeon Streak, Blue Flyer and Grand National are the other 3 woodies, the only one of note in my opinion being Grand National for 2 reasons. 1, it's a Mobius Loop racing coaster, meaning 2 trains exit the station together but return on the other side of the track. And 2, it's just a wild ride. The wheels use the track more as a suggestion rather than a necessity. Often when you look at the other train on lift hill, you see multiple wheels floating in the air, which is slightly concerning but more so entertaining. I appreciate this coaster's character, though some will call it rough. The rest of its coaster collection is eclectic to say the least. Steeplechase is an old Arrow model, the only one of its kind left, and technically 3 separate coasters. It's entertaining to race friends on the other tracks, but mind your back because this machine is not gentle. Revolution is another old Arrow, a launched shuttle loop. Very simple layout, launching from tower to tower, dropping into a vertical loop in the middle, but the launches are decent and the airtime is startling. Infusion is the final SLC on this list and probably the worst. It's just as rough as Odyssey, but with less speed and a weaker layout. The second half of this thing tries to send you to the hospital, and if that doesn't get you, the big one's first drop will finish you off. The big one is the 5th and final Arrow, and the former UK height record holder, with a mental but jarring first drop, and the rest of the layout switches between boring and shaky. A very long ride, but nothing really happens on those poorly profiled hills, which also sadly dampen the speed. An underrated coaster in my opinion is Avalanche. This Mack bobsled is almost 40 years old, but still going strong with a spiralling and decently lengthy layout. Then from an old Mack to a new one, Icon is the park's most recent addition. This brilliant launch coaster is a dynamic mess of twisted track, expertly nestled in between multiple other coasters. By far the standout in the park, and then you take into consideration Enzo, which is the spinning backseat on one of the trains, and it's really on another level. Taking one element sideways, then the next backwards before being sent spinning whilst launching is an experience unmatched in the UK, and it's just absurd while still being amusing. Without Icon, I think Pleasure Beach would drop below Flamingoland in this ranking. However, with it, it beats out its northern bestie to take 3rd. Now we come to our top 2, and I'm sure many people are going to disagree with how I place them. If you do, please feel free to let me know in the comments. Half the fun of these videos is seeing other people's opinions, and I want to hear which one's your favourite. My second place goes to Alton Towers. This sporting park is home to 10 roller coasters, and its lineup is rich and varied, though quite a few are mid-tier. By this I mean it has several world's first coasters, which were groundbreaking at the time, but have since been outclassed by newer models, but we'll get onto that in a bit. Let's work through from my least to most favourite. Octonauts is a Zamperla Junior coaster. Not much to say here other than it has some limited theming. Runaway Mine Train is a Mack powered coaster and an underrated one for sure. I love the interaction with the boats on the rapids, and if you have a good staff member on the mic, the vibes are unmatched. Choo choo. Spinball Whizzer is an enjoyable Mara spinner, but nothing spectacular. For sure not better than any coaster above it. These next 3 coasters are what I mean by once groundbreaking, but now mid. Oblivion, the first B&M dive. No matter how sick the soundtrack is, being only one big drop just makes it an incomplete experience. The amount of time you spend in the station and on the lift hill and brake run is laughable compared to the actual time in motion. 13, the first coaster with a vertical drop track, is a bit more complete, but with a pretty boring first half. This Intamin multi-dimension coaster could be so much more if it didn't trim so heavily on the first drop. That vertical drop track is brilliant though, as is the backwards launch into the dark section. Lastly, Galactica, the first B&M flyer. I've actually grown more of an appreciation for this coaster this year. Unlike most other B&M flyers, it doesn't rip your face off with intensity, and I actually respect that. It's a pleasant and joyful experience, swooping turns and hills, with a moment of higher intensity in the fly to lie. Definitely overhated. I hope it lasts for many more years, though it could do with a retheme to better fit into Forbidden Valley. Alton Towers Intamin hydraulic launch coaster, Rita, is my fourth favourite in the park, and I know I'll get some hate for that, but I'm a launch lover and I appreciate the sense of speed this offers on the front row, even if I'm not a fan of the theme. Still holding its world record 12 years on, Smiler, the Gerstlauer Infinity coaster, puts Icon to shame, fitting an absurd amount of track into a tiny footprint. Its 14 inversions are varied enough so they don't get boring by the time you reach the end, though the final few can be quite rough. The airtime hills also help to break up the inversions and both deliver consistent floater. As much as I hate the soundtrack, I enjoy the theme and the coaster really is a work of art from off-ride. Wicker Man, the GCI Woody, is more of a family thrill ride, but on the back row it can be devilishly quick. Good drops and well-maintained speed all the way to the brakes make this coaster popular with everyone. For me, it's also my favourite theme for a UK coaster. I love the whole vibe with the pre-show, backstory and burning Wicker Man effigy. Lastly, Nemesis Reborn, the renewed B&M invert. I love what Towers did with this. The improvements to the theming and effort to almost completely retrack it is monumental. It looks dark, alien and exactly on theme. The big eye on the monster is wicked and how it interacts with the train is super smart. The ride experience was always great and it still is. Like Wicker Man, it just builds more and more speed and force throughout its layout. Excellent pacing, whip and nice and smooth, except for that final shuffly turn. Many people will rank Alton Towers lineup as the best in the UK, but for me I have to place it a second due to its slightly bloated mid-ranking coasters. That means in first position is Thorpe Park. Others may consider it close between Thorpe and Towers, but I really don't. Even before Hyperia opened, I preferred Thorpe's collection of coasters. Stealth used to be my UK number one, a vast improvement on Rita with a much punchier launch, higher top speed and better airtime into and off the top hat. Yes, absolutely a short experience, but one I will never get tired of. The Swarm is another top tier coaster in my opinion, probably top 3 in the UK for theming. I love how it has its own island where you can immerse yourself in a post-apocalyptic world. Again, slightly short, but every element from the first drop to the brake run delivers with high Gs and interesting inversions, all whilst being absolutely glass smooth. Another glass smooth B&M is Nemesis Inferno. Not quite as punchy as its invert sister, but definitely overhated. The climb up to the station in the volcano builds the anticipation, and I always enjoy a fun pre-lift section. It's incredibly forceful, getting better with age, though it will always take second place to the OG. Not all of Thorpe's coasters are glass smooth though, as Colossus and Soar exist. Colossus is my least favourite of the main 6. I love the Constellation theming and soundtrack, but the trains are restrictive, and the final quad barrel roll is not my favourite. 50% of the time I feel like I enjoy this ride, but 50% of the time I don't. Soar for me is rougher than Colossus, but I enjoy it more often. The indoor section always hits with the sudden drops and roll over the body, though I do think the weight for the vertical lift hill hinders the pacing of the ride. The speed at which you get sent over the top of the lift is fantastic, though you can't really enjoy it when you're bracing for the worst part of the ride, that horrendous jolt at the bottom. Recently, I have had a couple of rides where I haven't found it as bad, but most of the time it is quite painful. The rest of the ride is great. I love the speed of the turns and the airtime you get on the hill and coming off the mid-course brakes. The theming really is crying out for a refresh. The queue line looks more and more like a Debenhams skip each year, rather than actual traps from the movies. The park's 2 older coasters are still entertaining in 2025. Flying Fish is a small Mack-powered coaster which can actually be a laugh if you have a big group. Then, The Walking Dead The Ride is a Vekoma indoor coaster. A decent layout but not terribly exciting, it's definitely plussed by the theming. The loud noises, dark corridors and live actors make everyone so jumpy that by the end you're sprinting out the building as quick as you can. Last and by no means least, Hyperia. This Mack Hyper is my current UK number 1 by a decent margin. The first 4 elements are one of the best sequences of elements on any coaster I've ever ridden. The incredible 180-degree twisting first drop, sweeping you off the lift hill with insane ejector, more airtime on the Junior Immelman, and then the bonkers barrel roll down drop. Sublime! The stall dive loop is perfection, before you then get brought crashing down to earth by the trims. The last 2 hills at least give more great airtime, but I can't deny that I wish this thing was 2 or 3 elements longer. As it stands, it's not a perfect coaster, but a damn good Mac product. The presentation is okay. Thank God Thorpe have at least put some grass down for this year, plus it gets extra points for Hyperia Doug. A solid and always enjoyable lineup, headed up by one elite coaster, Thorpe's collection is hands down the best in the UK. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts on my list below, and let me know what you think your top 10 UK parks are based on their coaster collections. You know, some of you might even have Gulliver's World as your number 1, and to be honest, I totally respect that. Whatever you do, be sure to subscribe and like the video, and I will see you in the next one.